Students, parents, and teachers are protesting in close to 36 cities today. They are demanding school buildings only reopen when science says it is safe. It's part of what they're calling a National Day of Resistance. Last week, the country's second largest teachers union, the American Federation of Teachers, said it would support any so-called safety strike if local unions feel schools are not imposing proper health measures. Randi Weingarten is the president of the American Federation of Teachers, and she joins me now. Welcome, Randi. Thank you so much for being with us.
Great to be with you, Tanya.
Thank you so much. Your national organization is leaving strike decisions to local educators, but you are providing them with some benchmarks to help navigate and evaluate whether it's safe to hold in-person classes. What are those benchmarks?
Of course, and let me also be clear. We've actually started this at the end of April. We've been working on how to reopen schools since the middle of April and put our first report out then. And the safety benchmarks are pretty much the same about how to reopen. What we're learning now is that more and more kids can carry, and we're also seeing what we need to do if a COVID case is found in a school. But in terms of reopening, there's three really important things. Number one is you have to tackle the COVID. And that means CDC says the community spread has to be under 5% and the daily spread transmission rate has to be under 1%. If we have time, I'll talk about what that really means. You also have to have testing, because what testing does is it makes sure you're managing where the community spread is. Second, so that's number one, you have to deal with the curve and community spread. Number two, there are guardrails that CDC has not changed, which includes 6 feet of social distancing, the mask, cleaning, and ventilation, because what that does in a school is it stops the transmission. And third, you actually have to have this paid for somewhere, because state and local government budgets have gone down 20%. So if we don't get this money from the federal government, which the House of Representatives passed in May, there's no way to actually pay for the kind of masks and other things that you need. That's why the principal from Parsippany said to you earlier that they don't know if they're going to really be able to reopen. New Jersey, New York, community spread is down right now. But what happens if it zooms up like from 1% to 3%? Then we have a situation like in Arizona and Texas and Florida. And I'm a social studies teacher and I'm a lawyer. We learned this because we needed to make sure we had guidance for our members and for families. And that's why in about 30 places today, families together with educators are basically saying to their districts and their communities, and to try to put pressure on Congress, we need the funds and we need the safety protocols to keep kids and teachers safe. We want to be in school. We know its importance. We know remote learning doesn't work, but safety comes first. That is what's paramount.
And so, Randi, you said recently that teachers in states such as Florida, Arizona, and Texas are most likely to strike in protest of unsafe working conditions. We know that, coronavirus cases there, continue to rise. Arizona was also one of the states involved in a wave of teacher strikes across the country in 2018. So what would a strike during a pandemic look like? And what are you hearing from officials in those states?
Well, look, no one wants to strike. And frankly, we want to just fixate. We are fixated on making sure things are safe for educators and for children and for communities. Because what we've been hearing from the doctors is that if we make wrong decisions, then schools will actually be a part of how a community respreads virus. So this is really important from all sides, which is why we said reluctantly, if governors like Ron DeSantis keep on refusing to believe that COVID is a problem in Florida, and we can't deal with it in the lawsuit that we brought or in any kind of common sense way, then even though strikes are prohibited in Florida, our members may take that last resort to ensure their moral responsibility of keeping themselves and others safe. That's the front lines that teachers have right now. Nobody got into this profession to be a safety monitor, but we're now the front lines of keeping kids and parents and teachers safe. And we're going to actually be that moral consciousness. That's why we said very reluctantly we would do a safety strike as a last resort. What it looks like, it's going to look different in lots of places. Hopefully, we'll never get to that question. Hopefully, superintendents and governors will do the right thing here and will make sure that we keep kids safe and spend the time right now planning for the various different modes of education. This hopefully will not last forever. We need to actually make sure we get kids into engaged learning, and we need to make sure we have teachers prepared for that. But we need more, most importantly, more than anything else, everybody has to be safe.
All right. Well, President of the American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks.